week goes to Marina Shut Up. Gonna shout out the Stuff Mom Never Told You channel as well as podcast because Cristen Conger is a badass. If you do not already watch Marina Shut Up, you should because she's a badass. This week on Stuff I Never Told You, I kicked things off with Nazis. Then on Wednesday, I talked all about menstrual cups. Guys, I know you probably have watched that one 25 times at least now. Then on Friday, I delivered 5 fat truths about cankles. Yes, cankles, as in cankles. Now to Ask Cristen. First of all, thanks to everybody who watched and commented on last week's Ask Cristen video. When did gay replace homosexual? Big thanks to all of my LGBT viewers who lent me your insights, including Travis Kerr, who said, I never really thought about homosexual being a toxic word as a gay male myself. I'd much rather be called homosexual than gay just because of how stigmatized the word gay is nowadays, at least in American society. Ultimately, I'd rather not have either of those labels or just be referred to as myself. Sarah Miller Garvin had this to say, I, as a gay lady, always thought of the word homosexual as more of a technical or scientific word that had negative connotations because of the time period of its popular use. It would be weird to hear someone who was an ally use that word, but not because it was offensive per se, just outdated and technical. I think it's interesting to look at how the word homosexual seems weird to us now, but the word queer, which is a reclaimed slur, is used so commonly and for the most part without baggage. MCAT had this to say, it personally doesn't bother me to be called homosexual, but I would prefer gay or lesbian. I think it's all about someone's personal preference. In my book, you can call me homosexual, gay, lesbian, queer, as long as it's not used in a derogatory context, I'm cool with it. If you're cool, I'm cool. At least I'm trying to be cool. Now to this week's Ask Cristen question from Aplo101. Why is it normal to show 98% of the female breast, but not the nipple? Turns out that the female nipple is where women derive most of their deepest and strongest feminine power. And if men look upon our nipples without our prior consent, then it can literally burn your eyeballs out. We're simply keeping the power of our laser nips under wraps, literally, with our bras. The real answer, though, is kind of the opposite. And I talked a bit about that in a video I made a little while back called Why Can't Women Go Topless?, which is all about the sexualization of the female breast. They are at once revered and considered sacred, as you say, because they are the source of milk and nutrition for babies if they are breastfeeding. At the same time, they're also the source of a lot of eroticism and sexualization and sexual pleasure for women themselves. I think there's always been a cultural discomfort with the breast and specifically the nipple because it physically represents that dichotomy, the Madonna and the whore, to put it in very women's studies terms. Quick nipple side note, which is a phrase I've never ever said before. The word nipple goes back to the 16th century, probably derived from the word neb, which meant beak, bill, or snout. And apparently in the 1600s, the slang term for women's nipples was cherrylets. Never not been kind of gross. The only word I dislike saying more than nipple is teat. And that's something you learned about me today. The history of women needing to, or being expected to, cover up their breasts goes way, way, way back in Western history. By the time you get to ancient Greece, it was standard for women to cover their breasts up. Back then, likely because of that connection between a woman's breasts and fertility and needing to protect her honor. Fast forward now to today, still taboo for women to go topless. For example, what's probably the most famous nip slip in modern history, Janet Jackson dancing with Justin Timberlake at the Super Bowl. She was already wearing a pretty provocative outfit and her boobs were on display cleavage-wise, but it wasn't until there was even the merest glimpse of a nipple, just the hint of an areola, that everyone freaked out. That to me is a prime example of just how strong this taboo is. But it's because it's been in place now for millennia. Viewers, I want to know from you, why do you think that the female nipple is so taboo? And do you think we could ever get to a point to where we can move past it, where a nipple can just be a nipple. Can we ever detach the female nipple from female objectification? Guys, I want to know from you too, have you ever experienced nipple shaming? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, ask me a question so I can give you some answers.